All right. So again, hello everybody. Good day to all of you. Hope everybody is keeping well and safe. Very happy to be talking to you again. I think I have met with most of you, but for those who don't know me, I'm Bruno, and I'm Key Account Executive for Novus. Okay, my colleagues Valerio and Epifanio is also on the background, taking care of the questions. So just to reinforce, these two allows us a chat box and a Q&A box where you can send your questions throughout the presentation. Questions are very important. Okay, so Valerio and Epifanio will be answering those questions through the tool. And I have also prepared a moment after the presentation to go through all your questions. Okay, so please keep sending them. They're very important to us. Use the chat exclusively to make comments, suggestions, or report any technical issues with the presentation, and the Q&A box to send your questions, okay? Also during this webinar, I'll release some questions to you, some surveys that are very important. I think we have just a few questions today. This helps us defining the audience knowledge level, the most relevant features, and your perceptions about our product, okay? So let's get started. It will be shorter today. This should take us less than an hour with presentation plus all your questions answered, okay? So we will talk today about how expensive and time-consuming an automation cabling job can be. Okay, most of you know about that. More specifically about RS-485 Modbus networks. Okay, so we all know that besides costly, automation and instrumentation cabling is very often of complex execution. Okay, and that's given different sorts of environments, and that sometimes there's no possibility to run cables through some areas of an industrial plant, a laboratory or company, so cables are not possible or not permitted. And added to that, there's also the complications related to network scalability. That means how hard it is to expand your network by adding new devices or even predicting measurement points to be added in future. And we know most of our customers tell us, look, I'm going to add 20 extra points next year or something like that. How can you make it possible with wiring? So we also see very frequently the need for constant maintenance in existing cabling due to material aging, and that is especially when bad quality material was used during installation. There's another issue when a lot of time is spent in commissioning, when you try to figure out where a cable was broken, or even failures by lightning through the cabling or things like that. So based on our experience with system integrators, especially here in Brazil, and wireless systems that replace cabling in automation and instrumentation networks, today we would like to present you a solution that most of you know, but we would like to present you in another way and let you know that these will reduce cabling costs in any projects that include automation cabling, okay? And that's for a variety of distances, topologies, where the savings or the money you will save will be multiplied with the complexity of your network, okay? So we will start showing you, I'll just skip that one, just with the agenda here, we'll do a cost comparison study, okay? We'll talk about different topologies that are possible. We'll talk briefly about Wi-Fi or wireless, okay? We'll show you a case, talk about the importance of certifications, okay? And we'll also discuss about site survey and how this can help your company. And then we go through the questions. So I would like to start by showing you some graphics that compare costs between conventional wiring networks and our solution, okay? So in all graphics you will see here, we will see three graphics. You see linear meters of installation on x-axis and cost in y-axis. Okay, so money spent on installation. So important to mention that we did a cost study here in Brazil. So this could slightly change for each market. We know different realities, people from Europe, people from Asia, people from Africa. So different realities, different money prices and costs, but we believe this could be a good benchmark for you. We should focus more on the linear meters of installation and where the sweet spot is for us, and we'll talk about that. So here, and also another detail, this is Brazilian currency, so reals, okay, Brazilian real, and meters of installation. So you will see here on that green line, the average material cost for cabling, and this is only cable, connector, and everything you need to perform an installation, but without workmanship, okay? So the blue line there represents the current market price for a pair of air gate Modbus, okay? Which is everything you need to replace 1,000 meters of cable, considering that you have line of sight, okay? Looking at this graphic, we can conclude that in 96 meters, okay, of linear installation, or linear cabling, we reach what we call, and what we're going to call in the next slides, the break-even point, where the cost equalizes between our two options. So we know that in not all installations, or most installations, you don't have 1,000 meters line of sight, but this would be a benchmark. We just wanted to give you some the linear cost here up to 150 meters, which is what this graphic covers. If we go to the next slide here, let's look at the average workmanship cost only, okay? So in this slide here, in this graphic, I'm excluding material costs that we have seen before. This brings us to 47 meters of linear cabling. So after that point, our air gate Modbus solution becomes more cost effective. So in that case, workmanship costs, I mean, you're going to hire an electrician or subcontract an electrician to do the job for you, or in some cases your company have staff to do that. So what I'm highlighting here is just workmanship costs. So if we consider only workmanship cost, 47 meters of installation would equalize the same cost for a pair of air gates, okay? And then if we move to the third slide here, let's put everything together, workmanship plus workmanship cost plus material cost, and we'll see that for any installation with more than 30 meters or 31 meters of linear cabling needed, there's no reason why you would still use cables on your automation network installation, okay? Of course, there are some cases where it is needed, where it is a requirement of the customer, but in every installation where you're thinking about running more than 30 meters of cable, okay, it is our job to show our customers that they might be spending more money than necessary if not going wireless with our solution, okay? And besides that, there's these things we call the indirect costs. So those that can't be directly measured, but will impact in our jobs, such as low availability of workmanship, okay, especially qualified one. We have occupational health and safety considerations, okay, mainly related to confined spaces, installation at heights, all these things that we expose our staff to hazard. We have the work overtime cost when installation can't be performed in normal hours, okay? So in a supermarket, for example, you have to do an installation. You can't operate from 8 to, 8 in the morning to 8 in the night. They have to be working at that time. So, or when rapid deployment needs to be considered, that is the case as well. Cabling is always very susceptible to electrical noise, okay? electric components suffer from electromagnetic interference, they get old, they cost more money, and so on. So these are just a few examples of several possible indirect costs that could be experienced and that we know that will generate or can generate issues to who is installing cabled networks. So here I'd like to just take a survey here from you on these. Let me just open up. Yeah. So do you think that study you think reflects somehow the reality of your market? The quantities I shared, the linear meters of installation, and the price comparison, do you think these reflects somehow? It doesn't have to be exactly what you experience in your market, but that could be a reality for you or not. I think you're getting the survey on your screen. If not, let me know in chat, please. I have shared it already. No? Oh, can't see it. Okay, let me just relaunch it. Just a minute. Okay. Thanks, guys. Okay, let me see if you get it now. Can you see it now? Some of you say yes, some no. Maybe it's in another screen. No, nothing. Okay. All right. So let me just go through it. Okay, sorry. We'll try next one. Okay, let's go ahead then. Sorry about that. Not sure, but I'm sure you felt that shiver down your spine when you see this picture, just like I did. But I guess that we all have seen something like this, if not that bad, maybe sometimes worse. But I'm sure that as an automation or instrumentation professional, you have faced challenges related to cabling. So especially when they have been poorly conducted by inexperienced professionals, companies, service providers, things like that. So with wireless systems, the imminent risks related to passing cables through are mostly eliminated. Okay, and for that they reduce possible costs of redoing cabling or losing a day or two of installation, which can always be worse for us. When you have to start cabling from scratch, so a project from zero, using novel wireless technology could save you huge amounts of time and money. Okay, so as the devices are quickly configured and installed, so independently of the network size or complexity. So here I'm going to share you some topologies, and you see that our wireless solution can be implemented in existing Modbus networks, okay, or in new projects. And this will allow you full and easy scalability of your application. This means that adding new points to an existing network becomes very quick and easy, even if they weren't predicted initially. So that is the case I mentioned before. Your customer sometimes asks you to give them a solution that in a year or maybe 6 months they will have to expand. So that would be a nice possibility. If you have an existing cabled network in your customer, adding new wireless branches is not difficult, all right? So you can see here in that topology that either adding new wireless points in cable network or expanding existing wireless networks is very easy. So on the picture in your left, you see there's a computer, there's a PLC, some controllers, some transmitters. They're all in an existing wired network. And then your customer says, look, I need to add 2 more branches, but they're too far away. Or I have to run cables across the company, and I don't want to do that. I don't have enough time to do that. Well, that's easy. You just add 1 extra AirGate Modbus here, and a couple of others around the company, and you have your Modbus network up and going. And more importantly, you don't even have to change anything that is native on your network, okay? On that picture on your right, then you have a native wireless network from beginning. You have a SCADA system, you have a HMI and a gateway, and this gateway is already talking to different branches on wireless. Okay, in addition to all the features and installation scalability that I mentioned, it's very easy to obtain diagnostics of your network through our DigiConfig, okay, which is our configuration and diagnostics software, and it is free of charge. You go to our website and you download it. Diagnostics are pretty important because they will help you to identify and monitor eventually potential signal failure on your wireless network, okay, and then you can make any configuration adjustments that might be necessary, and that's very easy to be done. You can see in this picture here that only 5 parameters are needed to configure the perfect network, the perfect operation of your network. These are the operation modes, okay, basically 2 types there. One is for master connection, the other one's for slave. A PAN ID that is unique in your network. A Modbus address, just as any other Modbus device, it has a Modbus address. Baud rate, okay, especially the RS-485 baud rate and the USB interface baud rate when you are connected to a master. So only those 5 parameters are needed to have your network up and going. All right, let me just. Okay, here on the diagnostics, you can see an example of network diagnostics performed by our software, okay? This shows how the network was structured, the signal strength for each device individually, okay? So this is very useful to understand how the network layout is and makes it easy to perform any adjustments or commissioning. So the solution is totally compatible with other Novus devices, okay, such as data logger, controllers, transmitters, or third-party devices from other manufacturers as well, as long as it talks Modbus RS-485. So on that example here, imagine you're doing an installation, but you're unsure about which AirGate is performing as a repeater or which one is going as a slave, or you know, how is the signal strength between 2 points. So this tool allows you to check on that, and eventually you will notice some problems or some signal problems that you'd like to correct before handling the installation as ready or to be used to your customer. So for example, here you will notice that this AirGate Modbus hasn't had that much signal strength. So you might want to reposition the antenna or add a repeater or something like that, that will help this device to have a better signal. So let me just run another polling and see if that one you can see. I want to inquire you about your experience with AirGate Modbus. Please let me know if now you get it there. Okay, now you're getting it. That's good. I'm seeing all the questions coming through. We'll get through them for sure in the end of the webinar. Most of you are saying it. So I have some questions, some answers coming through. This might not be in your screen, guys. Maybe Alt tab there. See if you can click on anything on Zoom tool there, so to see it, because I'm getting answers. I'll allow you an extra minute here. Okay. Okay, good. I got some answers, not all. Thank you. So just sharing with you, 50% of you have never used an airgate Modbus. So I think this will be very nice to, this is a very nice subject because then you can get more comfortable with it. And I'm happy that 25% of you have already used it and feel like you know a lot about it. So yes, that's great. I'm also going to relaunch the first polling and see if you can see it now, please. It was about the study that we shared before, and I wanted to know if somehow it relates to the reality of your market, where we believe that in 30 meters of cable, it becomes more interesting, at least interesting to check on the wireless solution. So can you see it now? No, you can't see it. Okay. I don't know what's happening. So let's go through it. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your feedback. So I wanted to go through this subject, especially because we were talking about compatibility. And when wireless is the subject, it is important that we have some concerns related to where those devices will be operating and the correct operation of all other devices around, such as the Wi-Fi devices or mobile phones and so on. So here, I think it's very important that we invest some time to explain a basic but very important concept, okay? A lot of people get confused here, but Wi-Fi and wireless are not the same thing. When I say our device is wireless, okay, it doesn't mean it is Wi-Fi. So wireless means any communication method that is not wired. So Wi-Fi is indeed a wireless technology. So is our protocol Novus Air, both wireless, okay, but not all wireless is Wi-Fi. So Novus Air, as we call our proprietary protocol, was designed for industrial applications, okay, industrial environments. It can reach long distances, keeping a safe and robust link, differently from Wi-Fi, okay? So one of the main advantages of our protocol is that it works independently from where your strategic company data is, okay? Isolating your automation and instrumentation data from possible invaders. And I'll show you that we have got some projects in the past just because of that. So the robustness of our protocol allowed us, for example, to perform several nice projects in banks, data centers, pharmaceutical companies, and others. And the picture here is one example where we were monitoring temperature and humidity in a server room of an important bank in Brazil here. So they have selected our solution from the several others they could have because it communicates independently of their internet network, okay? So most companies were interested, were offering solutions on Wi-Fi where the temperature, humidity, or whatever data was running on their enterprise network. And they didn't want that. They wanted a separate solution. Okay, they wanted something running parallelly to their internet connection. So that was why they have selected our solution. RAT Air is the perfect pair of the AirGate Modbus when it comes to RAT measurements. It is one device that talks directly to the AirGate Modbus. And if you haven't used them both together, you should check on that. The AirGate, besides talking directly to other AirGates, making pairs or different types of networks, it also talks directly to 35 RAT air. Each AirGate talks directly to 35 RAT air. Okay. Still talking of compatibility of our solution with other communication devices, also important to mention the certifications that are necessary in most countries. Okay, so our device have been tested and approved by FCC in the US, Anatel in Brazil, CE for the European market. Okay, so this is just to make sure our solution does not interfere with any other communication device using our plant. Okay, so our devices, besides those three communication certificates, we as a company have REACH compliance, ISO 9000, and all devices come with 3-year warranty. So I wanted, on that talk about certifications, I wanted to know from you, are there any other relevant certifications that the AirGate Modbus must have for your market? So if yes, and you know the name, please answer that one and send the name of the certification on our chat. If you're not sure, then you know what to answer, and if these are fine, that's good. Answers coming through. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to share the results with you. So you see 53% of you think that those are fine. Anatel, FCC, and CE. Some of you have some other certification you would like us to check on. But please, I believe you have already sent the name on chat, and some people are not sure what you can do, and if you don't feel comfortable selling because of this topic, let me know your country, and we can help you finding out if those are fine for you. Okay. To kind of close our discussion here and go through the questions, I wanted to put some, highlight these to you, because this is very important, and we believe this was a changer on the history of selling AirGates Modbus. Okay, because thinking of promoting this solution initially, we have developed at Novus what we now call a site survey kit. Okay, site survey as a service, okay, that our application department performs, and our application department here in Brazil kind of operates just as you, our distributors around the world. The site survey site survey service done by our department studies the application environment, okay, and identifies what is the best topology and placement for all devices, including sensors and repeaters. Okay, so however, the first goal of this kit and building a kit like this is to make our partners and integrators more familiar with the solution. So you can test, validate different topologies, and that will work in different customers. So during the process of understanding and using a site survey kit, we are pretty happy to give all necessary support to our partners, okay? But further to that, a site survey kit might become a source of revenue for you, okay? In both scenarios, it can speed up the installation process, okay? Given that the environment of the application have been studied previously, and these will reduce drastically all the possibilities of problems happening during installation. And also the integrators, okay, that can offer these as a service, charging for it or offering it as a plus to prove the technical viability of the project, okay? So for end users, if any end user is watching this is a great, this is also great for end users, because the project will come without surprises. If the service provider, if the system integrator has studied the environment before, there's pretty much no possibilities of a problem happening, okay? Because you will know the placement of the devices, you will know where each device should go and to which device it should talk and so on, okay? So the message here is, for distributors and integrators, you can both assembly your own kit, okay, using our products, or you can get this kit ready from us, okay? There's two cases, all right? So if you wish to build your own, we can help you with that. We can provide information, we can let you know what devices you need, how many, and how to perform a site survey, okay? Or we can quote you on a kit like this, okay? Just get in touch with our sales team, who will get you sorted. For those who are interested in having a wireless solution in your company or know about it, just get in touch with your local distributor or talk to us. We'll help you through one of our partners, all right? So you see, this was a different, more informative presentation, okay? I wanted also to inquire you about site survey. So let me know if you're interested in a site survey kit, if you want us, if you would prefer us to help you building one, you have access to the devices, you maybe have already some in your stock, and we can help you with that. We can let you know how to do it, and we'll get you sorted. And you can start using it and go to your customer, and they have a wireless solution they would like to perform. And most customers, sometimes they don't believe it will work on wireless. So we go there, we put the site survey, we show them how it works. It did a great deal of a difference here when we started actually promoting these and using the site survey in our favor to prove people that they could use wireless without any issues. So thanks. I have got your answer. Most of you want help building one, so we'll work on something, some material that will indicate to you what are the devices needed and how we can do it, okay? Thanks for your answers. So let me go through the questions now. Okay, starting from one question here. Has Novus done any wireless projects in pharma industry? Do we have any case study? Yes, we have done several wireless projects in pharma industry, mostly in warehouses, okay, of pharmaceutical companies. I'm not sure if we have a case study. We will have to look at that, but I think we don't have anything very detailed. I would have to check that. But yes, we have done wireless projects in pharmaceutical industries, and we do have some indication letters as well that we have received from Fresenius Kabi, for example, and some others, okay? Let me check on the other one. Okay, so what is the black box? What is the black box? I'm not sure in which part of the presentation this was asked. Okay, this was a POC. So probably on that other slide when I was showing a topology. On that topology, there was a POC connected to the AirGate Modbus. So yes, so for example, if your POC is Modbus RS45, okay, master, and you wanted to reach a device which is far away, you can connect it to the POC, a pair, one to the POC and the other one to the RS45 device. So this means the AirGate Modbus is not only compatible with Novus devices. It can be used with any device that talks Modbus RTU through RS45, okay? Another question here, can I remove that antenna and connect to basically another antenna? Yes, you can. We have done some experiences with directional antennas and it works great, okay? It works great. We could reach, if I'm not mistaken, more than 2 kilometers, okay? Distances with a pair of air gates. Line of sight, of course, at the correct height, with the correct antennas. This goes this is a topic that unfortunately we're not experts on antennas. Different antennas could be used for different applications, but I can tell you, it is 2. You have to take in consideration the frequency. It's 2.4 gigahertz. And yes, you can use different antennas for different applications. We offer our standard antennas, both directly connected to the device or through an extension cable. Both are fine and work great, but you could use another types of antennas for different applications. What is the troubleshooting if the diagnostic doesn't function? I didn't get info from Gateway. Basically, I'll just explain how the troubleshooting works. Okay. Basically, once you have your network working, or the devices are placed and they're communicating with each other, you can plug on USB your device in a computer, and in there you will run the diagnostics and you see how the network is performed, how the network is arranged, because the network arranges itself automatically, so you don't need to care about that much, and that is where you save a lot of time. But once it is working, you plug it on USB and you see that graphic I've shown before, where you see which device has connected to its father. That's how we call it. Your question is more related to how do I know if it's working if it doesn't even connect it? Well, there is a LED on the air gate that is either blinking or it is continuously lighting. So if it is continuous, it means it has paired with something. So it has already a father or has paired to somebody. So this means a first connection was established. If it is blinking, it hasn't been paired to anything. So your problem must be on the configurations. Okay, it might be on address or might be in PAN ID or anything like that. So I hope this answers your question. Let me check another one. Which other transmitters like the RAT can communicate with the air gate? Do you have also a transmitter with analog inputs? That's a good question, Paul. Thanks for that. Well, there's not a device that will communicate directly with the air gate Modbus, such as the RATA. But Important here is that a pair of air gates will probably give you will cover most cases of application. So in your example, like a transmitter with analog input. So what you could do in that case, imagine you have two analog inputs you must read that are 200 meters away from the master. What will you do? So you have one air gate connected to the master, and you have one air gate, another air gate pairing with that one connected to the master. On that air gate, any RS-485 device can be connected. For example, an I/O module, such as the DigiRail 2A. The DigiRail 2A allows you to read two analog inputs. So you connect the DigiRail 2A via RS-485 to your second air gate, and you have a pair of air gates. One of them is connected to the master. The other one is connected to an I/O module that is reading the analog inputs. And then the PLC or the SCADA system will be able to know what is being read on those analog inputs. So most cases can be covered just by a pair of air gates and any other additional devices, such as an I/O module that will read I/Os, will read digital inputs, digital output, will act on digital outputs. That will do the same, for example, if your PLC sends a command in order to close a relay, and you could have an air gate Modbus on the other side that is talking to a relay module on RS-485, and this will switch the relay. So this covers most of applications. I hope this answered your question. Okay, so there's another question. What is the maximum number of sensors, transmitters that can talk to the air gate? Okay, so basically the air gate, okay, supports connection with 8 other air gates. So a level deep, it will talk to other 8 air gates, and one air gate can talk by itself to other 35 RAT air. Okay. So connected, wired to one air gate, you can have a number of devices. It's not limited, okay? So if you have, for example, a Modbus network, wired Modbus network branch that is reading 100 parameters, okay? So think about 10 or 15 devices that are reading 100 parameters, and you want that to be wireless. So you add one air gate Modbus there, wired to that network, and wirelessly it will be the gateway to the other air gate, which is the master connected to a PLC. So there's not a limitation on number of parameters to be read, but a limitation on a limitation on the number of devices wired to the air gate. The only limitation is the number of wireless devices connected to it. It's 8 air gates and 35 RAT air. That's another nice question here. Considering the topology on the left at the beginning, can an air gate communicate with 2 Modbus masters in a network? Yes, and that is a great, I'll just jump back to that slide here. This is a great thing about the air gate. It allows you to do RS-485 Modbus multi-master, which is not possible in RS-485, okay, Modbus. Modbus doesn't allow you to have multi-master, and by that I mean having 2 masters connected to an array of slaves. The air gate will allow you to do that. So in that case, for example, you have a computer that is a master, and you have an HMI that is a master too. They are both masters at the same time of this network, okay? How does the air gate allow you to do that? Because one master will be connected to the RS-485. The other master will be connected to its native USB. So in that case, you have both masters inquiring from the same network, okay? and that is a possibility. All right. I hope this answers your question too. Let me get to the other questions. I have quite a lot. One thing here. I have quite a lot of questions coming through the chat. Please, if you can, send your questions through the Q&A. That helps us because then we can generate a report and maybe send you a Q&A after the presentation. Okay, let me get another question here. All right. What happens if we deploy in places with multiple walls? Okay, so multiple walls, of course, they will cause the signal to be worse than it would be in an application where you have line of sight. But this doesn't mean it won't work. It will just reduce the distance range. All right. So in case of multiple walls, especially in those cases that we recommend you to use this, okay, the diagnostics, because you can, and not only these, but the diagnostics tool with a site survey, because then you can put you can put the two cases. The site survey kit is made of three cases basically. One is a master, the other one is a slave, and the other one is a repeater. So what you will do is you put two, the master case where the master is going to be, the slave case where the slave must be, and you will check the signal strength here. If you see the signal is not as good as you want, what is going to happen is you can place the repeater case in the middle and see if it improves, okay? And from there, you take note of where the devices should be placed. So that is very important when you have places where the signal strength is worse because of walls or moving obstacles or things like that. So we have performed, for example, several applications in warehouses where today this shelf might be empty and tomorrow might be full of devices that are made of metal, for example, and these will impact on the signal strength. So for that, strategic repeaters must be placed around in order to make sure you will never lose connection, okay? So my suggestion, when you have multiple walls, when you want to deploy in such places, make sure you study the environment before. Make sure you put the right amount of repeaters according to the need of your application, okay? Okay, I think I have answered those. The distance up to 1,000 meters in the catalog, but if there is some obstacles, the signal will be damping fast. Yes, that's basically what I said. I just said. In those cases, you must take action on before the installation. You have to study the environment and get to know where the devices should be placed. Okay. What would the typical range be where there are walls in between? Well, this is a very hard question. Okay. A very hard question because it depends of what your walls are made of, how thick they are there people moving around all the time, or are there machines moving around all the time? So difficult question that I can't answer a typical range. It depends a lot on your application. And also remember, the air gate has configurable transmission power, so you can configure that according to your need. Do you have a recommended baud rate versus distance? Okay, that is also a good question, because baud rate in this case here only relates to wired connection. the baud rate you see here on the presentation, okay, the baud rate that you see here in the presentation here, USB and RS-485 are related to the wired connections of the air gates. So just these wired points here that you see, the PC connected to the air gate, or the air gate connected to its slaves. So if lots of cables are going on here, if you have a long distance between the air gate and its slave that is wired connected to it, then you should configure the baud rate accordingly. It's a smaller baud rate for longer distances. Those usual RS-485 concerns that we must have. But on wireless, those baud rates don't mean anything, okay? On wireless, it won't affect. So that is important too. Nice, guys. Lots of questions. I'm very excited answering all of them here. Okay, if my master is TCP IP Modbus and my slave is RTU, can I use with serial to Ethernet converter? Yes, you can. The answer is yes, you can. Imagine you have a Modbus TCP IP Modbus master, like a PLC or a SCADA system. All you should do is you can, in our portfolio, you have two options. One would be a field logger that operates as a gateway, okay? So on the Ethernet, you will connect your master. On RS-485, you connect the air gate. The other option would be the DigiRail Connect. It's just released model. This device, besides being an I/O module, also operates as a gateway, TCP/IP to RS-485 gateway. Okay, so yes, you can use it with Ethernet to serial converter. Let me get another one. Can we deploy a mesh network? Well, there's a common confusion between mesh and these devices. We don't actually call these devices, it doesn't do a mesh network. It's more like a tree. If you see these here, you understand what I mean. See on these here, on this square on your left here, you have device number 1, which is the first master of the network. It is connected to a master PLC or a master SCADA system, for example, or a data logger. Okay, number 1 here. And then below number 1, we have 70 connected to 1. We have 80 connected to 1. We have 100 and 110 all connected to 1. You see here on this line, right? Well, this is a tree, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 branches on wireless here. And then I have the 64 is connected to 70. The 60, 120, and 60 and 120 are connected to 80. So it's a tree-type network, and that's how you deploy it. Just basically looking at it. You can see this easy view here, or you can look at the Modbus father column here, and you see to which device it is connected. Okay, so that is basically how you deploy it. So I have another question here. In a mesh network topology with overlapping signals, if a unit fails, will the signals auto-route through a valid link? Yes, thanks for this great question. Yes, this is what will happen. Well, one of the main advantages of the AirGate Modbus is that it actually detects once you power up the whole network, the devices will scan around and check what is the best device for me to connect at, okay? So for example, here, you check 80 here, right? Or 60, let's say, the device number 60 here, okay? Once the network was powered up, probably it tried to reach number 1, and it detected, well, the signal is not as good. So signal level is 2. So let me check for other options. I'll check for 70. The signal strength is 3, so not as good as I want. Let me keep searching. And then it found 80 and 100 and 110. And from all these devices, it detected that 80 was the best signal strength at that moment, okay? And it connected to 80. So this is done every time you power up your network, okay? But in a case where, as for the question we received here, if a unit fails, what will happen? Well, if 80 failed, 60 will try to reconnect 3 times to 80. 3 times it will try. And when I say try, it will try once, it will increase its power transmission, increase its power automatically. This is all automatically. It will increase the power transmission, try keeping reconnecting and things. And then when it detected, really, I can't connect to 80 anymore, I'm gonna try somebody else. So I'll try again 70, even though the signal is not as good, but I'll try 70 and try, and accomplishes the connection, and then it's done. It's connected to 70 now and became a pair of the air gate number 70. Is this noticeable by the user? No, it won't be noticeable. You won't lose one single package in this process, okay? If you set your network to read once a minute, within that minute, it will try to reach somebody else and give you the proper reading. So don't worry, you won't lose signal, okay? You won't lose signal. Please keep sending your questions. Okay, there's another question here. I suppose you have to use a cabinet for the air gate. Do you recommend plastic or steel, aluminum, or do you put the antenna on the outside? Well, yes, we put the antenna on outside. There is a accessory that you can buy when you buy an air gate. It comes with a simple antenna, but there is a magnetic base with, I'm not sure if it's 3 meter or 1.5 meter cable that you can put through the cabinet and place the antenna outside, okay? So that is how you should do it. We don't recommend using the antenna inside of the cabinet, no matter if it's plastic, steel, aluminum, whatever, okay? Okay, what is the field of view for air gate? Open field and estimated within a building or industrial facility. Well, for air gate, it's 1,000 meters with line of sight, okay? That is the distance range with line of sight, open field, all right? When there are walls around, it becomes more complicated to give you a number of meters, okay? Sometimes it's 100 meters, sometimes 50, sometimes 200. It will depend on the type of material that you have on your walls, the thickness, and all these parameters have to do with it. So open field, we can guarantee is 1,000 meters. For the, important also to mention, for the RAT air, it's 500 meters. Because it is a battery powered device, we decreased a little bit the transmission and receiving power. So it has been affected by that. So it's 500 meters open field for RAT air, and air gate is 1,000 meters, okay? I'll put more, we just passed 10. Please keep sending your questions. Let's do more. We have more 10 minutes here to 15 past 10, and we get finished here if we still have more questions. Okay, good question here. Dan, are there available routers or signal amplifiers or repeaters? Or what do you suggest for improving the field of view indoors? All right, so that is a good question. The AirGate Modbus has basically three operation modes, okay? One, it will be operating as master. And when I say master, it doesn't mean it is a master. It is actually connected to a master, okay? Two, slave. It doesn't mean it is a slave. It means it is connected to a slave. Those are two operational modes that are covered, okay? So one is connected to the master, the other one is connected to the slave. So what do I do if there's not enough signal strength for those two to find each other? Well, I have to place another guy in the middle, which will have the third operational mode. But I have to make a comment here because the third operational mode is actually not a third operational mode. It is a slave operational mode still, but it will actually work as a repeater. So for your question here, are there available routers or signal amplifiers or repeaters? Yes, the AirGate itself is a repeater. So if I place one in the middle of those two, what happens is it will work as a repeater. Imagine again in this case here where we have this topology. We have AirGate number 1, we have AirGate number 80, and we have AirGate number 120, and we have the RAT Air 63. So imagine that on power up, AirGate 120 didn't find AirGate 1. There's no enough signal for it to find AirGate number 1. So what 80 is here? 80 is a repeater. 80 is placed in the middle of the way, so it is a repeater. So 1 connects to 80, 80 connects to 120. The same might have happened with 63. So imagine 63 on power up didn't find 80 either. So it didn't find 80, it didn't find 1. So 1 connected to 80, 80 to 120, and then 63 only found 120. So we have two repeaters here in between. You get what I mean here? I mean that the AirGate itself will operate both as a repeater and as a slave connection. And the nice thing about it is that it's a simple and single operational mode. It's called slave. And once you power up the network, it will find out by itself if it should be a repeater or a slave. And it could be both a repeater and a slave at the same time. Okay, so I think these have answered your question. Improving signal, the AirGate itself will do it. Let's see if we have more questions. Please keep sending through. We have more minutes to talk about it. Let me see if any questions that were answered by our helpers, Epifanio and Valerio. There's a question here. I'm not sure if I got the point here, but it's most common questions from customers. How do they know about wireless connection for data security? This device, okay, allows you to also have a tag, a security tag or encryption tag, okay, on your communication. So there's two parameters that can be configured here. One is PAN ID. So this is a unique key, okay, a unique ID for your own network. So even if there is another guy or there is another separate wireless network operating in the same environment but with a different PAN ID, they won't they won't get on the way of each other. Okay, they will operate isolated, separated. If you click on Advanced tab here, there is a security key. Okay, I think it's 16 digits that you can type, and the security key must be all devices in the same network must have that security key, otherwise it won't authenticate. So this is the security offered by this device, besides not being connected in the same network. Okay, in the same network. Yes, guys, I think those are the questions that we had. Before we finish, I just wanted you to give me some feedback on the training. Today was a little bit different training, more related to an application or presenting you a solution, not exactly training deeply technically. So I think both formats are valid, and we should have a mixture of different types of trainings, okay? Sometimes we'll go more deeply on the features of one product. Sometimes we will go more deeply on what can we do and how should you present it to your customer. I think these cable replacement as a solution is a nice way to show to your customer how it is possible to do it, okay? I have another question that came through while you guys are still answering our survey. Thanks for your answers, appreciate it. Okay, so if, nice question, if in the event of a failure and a unit is looking for a valid signal, can two different PAN IDs connect to one another, or to one another, I think? No, different PAN IDs will never, ever connect to each other, okay? I can share you an experience, a nice experience that happened. One thing that happened here in Brazil, we were doing an exhibition and we were in one stall and we weren't able to actually get the air gate working. There's no possibility. There was something going on. We didn't know what was happening. And sometimes we were getting connected to something that we didn't know where it was. And okay, in the end of the problem was there was another stall with a customer of ours presenting their solution using our air gate at the same PAN ID. So always remember to change the PAN ID when we get it, because there's no possibility two PAN IDs will get on the way of the other. Okay, so you should have your unique PAN ID. And even if you have, that happens a lot. For example, I have a 5-floor building and I want to make sure that my devices will only communicate in the same floor. I don't want these devices talking to the device on the other floor. So I have 5 different separate networks, each one of them with a different PAN ID. So I make sure they will never talk to each other, okay? Another question here is, what is the difference compared to wireless HART? It's a good question. Why is that a good question? What is the protocol here? What is the standard? The standard is here. Let me just open up the slide of the here. So the standard we follow, it's 802.15.4. If you look at wireless HART is the same. It's at 802.15.4. So we use the same technology, wireless technology. So if we're talking about the robustness of physical layer, we have the same as wireless HART. So that's good news for us. But the difference is on the protocol. The protocol wireless HART will talk HART, okay? And we talk Modbus. So we exchange packages on Modbus, and what is the advantage on that is that, well, Modbus devices are offered and available in the market with more competitive prices, in my opinion, than HART. okay? And they are much more flexible, okay? So you could have a cost-effective data logger connected to it. You could have a simple IO module connected to it. So the main difference when we are comparing to wireless HART is it's not the physical layer. The physical layer is the same, but the protocol. The protocol for wireless HART is HART, and the protocol for us is Modbus. Okay. Also, some layouts on the topology that are possible, such as repeaters and things on the same device, are advantages that our solution has. Okay. Just sharing with you about the last polling we had. Thanks again for your answers. 46% of you think that field logger is the correct is the next training session about. So let's take this opportunity and register. I'm sharing with you again the registration link on the chat. It's already scheduled on Thursday. We'll have a training session at 10 a.m. Brazilian time, basically this time right now. So on Thursday, we'll have about the field logger. Register there. We'll talk deeply about the features and everything the field logger has to offer, okay? Please go there, register. Thank you again very much for your time. Appreciate all your questions. Pretty much everyone stayed to the end. So again, thanks. Keep safe. Stay at home if you can. Should you have any questions, please let me know. Get in touch with us. You will receive this presentation and some more information on your email in today or tomorrow, okay? Thank you. Thank you again. Thanks, guys. Keep safe.